Hey, this is Heart of Inspiration. And today I am playing YSL Astrologer at the encouragement of Empress Fox, the American or the Revolution. Empress Fox, she is at I am Empress Fox. And yesterday, I've been following her on Twitter, an avid watcher of the YSL trial, Young Thug, and the RICO trial that's going down in Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia, and the tomfoolery and effery that it is. And so yesterday, as I was kind of scrolling through, she posted which is Judge Paige Reese Whitaker, is letting Adriane Love is the ADA or executive DA, walk herself down all the way to a mistrial. This is going to get interesting even more than it already has. Before the end of the day, I feel like Miss Love is going to lose her cool. I need one of my astrology people to pull her chart. Hashtag YSL trial. And of course, I'm right here and I'm like, I got you, girl. Okay. And I want to thank Lauren OG Cadillac for hit me up on some of this, letting me know that Judge Whitaker was born in May of 1967 and Adrian was born in June of 1970. So I went and Empress was like, let me do some searching of the public records. Well, Empress, I did it, so you didn't have to, okay? I went and I searched the public records. And so, what we're going to do is we're going to go through a couple of things here. We're going to look at Judge Whitaker's um, chart. We're going to look at ADA Adriane Love's chart. And then we're going to look at what we call a synastry chart. And in astrology, what a synastry chart is, it's a relationship chart to see where you all mesh, where you all don't. Well, and I will look at a synastry report. Usually those are done for like romantic relationships. So we're gonna take the information from that synastry chart, and then we're gonna kind of break it down so that it's more so, appropriate for the working relationship. But I think we're gonna find out some very interesting items. So listen, y'all, I have my Starbucks latte here. I got my little vape situation going on here. So we're gonna have some fun here. Don't get offended, don't get upset. I will walk y'all through all this astrological discussion as best as I can. Just follow along with me. A lot of y'all may not know that how I do this is I pull the chart from astro-seek.com. I found this is all public information that I was able to locate. I did not go through and go combing and dumpster diving, or I didn't, fly down to Georgia and just, you know, locate people that may have known these people's parents and all this other stuff. This is all public information, okay? So, first of all, for those of you unfamiliar, this is an astrological chart. I was not able to find the exact time for either woman's birth. I was able to find the birthplace and the birth date, not the birth time. Those records were not available to me. What does that mean by me not being able to find the time? I have no idea what their rising signs are. I mean, your rising sign is um, how the world perceives you, how you present yourself to the world, right? My rising sign is Capricorn, so I present myself to the world rather structured. I present myself to the world very structured, maternal, because I'm always thinking and I'm always structuring things. So we do not have that, but we can probably figure a lot of that out. This is all for entertainment purposes only. This is my opinion. This is astrology, whatever. So anything I say is alleged. So this is Judge Whitaker. I'm going to put in blue. We're going to start drawing on here. Her sun sign is down here in Taurus. Her birth date, I believe, is May 4th, May 8th. May 8th, 1967. May 8th, 1967. So she is a Taurus sun. I'm going to circle all of this right here because this is very important. She has what we call a stellium, that is 3 or more planets all in one sign. I don't know if this is a house stellium as well because I can't tell you where her houses fall because I don't have her time of birth. But I can tell you that all three of these planets fall in the sign of Taurus. What does that mean when you have a stellium of 3 or more? Think of it as it's a party. Right now, I've got 3 different planets with 3 different personalities. Sometimes the personalities are complementary, sometimes they're not. But I got all these planets, planetary energies, and what they represent, all within this one sign and what it represents. So in this one domicile, we'll just call it that because can't say house for sure, but in this sign, so it's in a domicile. So they're all kind of living together still. Okay, they're all living together, and we got to figure out how they're going to interact, and by how close they are together, aka conjunct, how close they are together, that's also going to tell me how much they really are going to have an influence on each other, or are they going to have not have an influence, and are they going to be kind of all living in separate wings? So what we have here is we have her sun, her Mercury, so how she speaks, and her moon all in Taurus. I can safely say that she's going to be a Taurus moon no matter what time of day that she was born on because I input into the thing, like into the site, hey, I don't know her time of birth. So it's going to tell me basically where the moon was at midnight, 00 and where it was at 11:59 or 2300 hours, 23:59 hours. Okay. All day long, that moon was in Taurus. So she is going to be at the very least a double Taurus, a Taurus sun, Taurus moon, and her communication is going to be in the way of Taurus. Also, her north node, which is this right here, is also in Taurus. So, what does all these mean? Her north node and her moon are conjunct. So, that means her feelings, emotions, desires, everything is in perfect alignment with who she came here to evolve to be. So, her evolutionary trajectory, who she intended from the time of birth to the time she transitions on, her whole thing was to be like as Taurus as possible. Well, what does that mean? Taurus is ruled by the planet Gemini, which is interestingly planet Gemini. Oh my God, planet Venus. Interestingly, we find that the chart ruler then, right? The chart ruler where your sun sign, well, for this purpose, where the house ruler of the sun sign is in Gemini, which when we go to see ADA Love's chart, we'll see that that falls in her sun house. So your sun is like your sun sign is your how your ego, it is your core personality, is who you are at your core. Okay, it's who you are at your core. Why is that important? Because her heart, right, what she loves, what she desires, or her love language is going to be very much, Judge Whitaker is very much kind of like in the Gemini zone. So her heart can be, what is the aspect, what is the personality of a Gemini? Very do quick moving, quick thinking. Some people, they're the Gemini twins. Some people say they're two-faced, all that stuff. I ain't gonna go all that route. But I'm just saying that's where her heart is. So she's gonna love like a Gemini. She's gonna fall in love quick. She's going to probably fall out of love quick. She's also gonna be funny. So I know at first, no offense, I was calling her Judge Giggles. Because, at first when she came onto the YSL trial, she was like, everything was funny. And we like, girl, ain't that funny? What is you laughing about? I'm like, this ain't funny. We been here. Like, you just got here. You gonna find out it ain't sweet in a minute. And she found out, didn't she? She ain't giggling too. She ain't giggling now. Cause she didn't have a taste of that. Whoo, baby. That love Kool-Aid, that love honey. She didn't got on the love train and I think she went off. Anyway, so that's that core energy, right? So she's got her sun in Taurus, she's got her moon in Taurus, and her Mercury in Taurus. So her mind, heart, and body, everything about her is in Taurus. What are Taurians known for? They're known for this kind of luxuriation. They're known for wanting things to be, we want the easiest way possible when we're a Taurian. We're very loyal to house and home. That is the house of I have. So they can be a little, in a personal way. Sometimes maybe it feels like they're a little selfish, but they're also fixed to earth, which means once they make a decision, it's pretty much a wrap. Taurians tend to not be confrontational until they are pushed over the edge. And then when they're pushed over the edge, then the bull comes out, then the horns come out, right? Taurus is represented by the bull. Think about how bulls are. Bulls are not exactly the most active, hard charging, hard working animals known on the planet. Okay. They like to be admired. They like to strut their stuff. They know that they're a bull, so they like to flex their power. Hello. They feel like when they enter, like a bull comes in, first of all, it's going to be very territorial. What you doing here? Why you here? Wipe your feet. Don't bother me. Don't ask me to do nothing for you either, because that's not what kind of party this is. So this is what we doing. Okay, this is what a bull is, it's going to do what it do until you piss it off, until you wake up the sleeping giant, until you poke the bear, so to speak. When you poke that bull too much and then that bull starts to see red, that's it. And we saw that, God, was it last week? We saw that happen where and now she let loose. And when she started letting loose, I think it was Friday, would it be the 19th? 24th, 25th, 26th. Yeah, I feel it was either the 19th or the 20th when it might have been the 20th. When she let loose, let me tell you, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle now, because now you upset her. Now she gonna calm down a little bit, and we've seen that, but you've already crossed what they call the Rubicon. And once you cross the Rubicon with the Taurian, it's a wrap. It's very hard to get back to the other side. The other problem, though, with the Taurian is they find it very difficult to say they were wrong. So they can. So some people, we're watching this trial and we're like, doesn't Sister Girl know that she's wrong? Yeah, but baby, she ain't trying to admit that. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go too far into the past life situation because some of y'all might be like, oh, you lost me here. But I'm going to just say that there is a reason. Let me just blow this up just a little bit more. There's a reason that she came here and this go around that she really was like, you really have to embody this and protect yourself and stand your ground and not let anybody run roughshod over you. And I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of in her quest for things to be right and things to be just. We find that here with Mars in Libra. That's a real Libras are all about balance and all that stuff. To have Mars in Libra there, and it is retrograde, so it is tempered a little bit. But this also tells me that she really does desire. It's almost like an Aquarian energy. Like Mars in Libra to me gives me Aquarius. And if anybody knows anything about Aquarius energy, boy, they are just headstrong, aren't they? Like you can't tell them nothing. They're right beyond all measure. That desire for justice is going to drive, is what's driven her to this, and standing up for herself. She probably is more so meant to stand up for the underdog than what she is. And so that could be why she's having a little difficulty, like really moving up the ranks, probably as quickly as she wants. I don't know. I've never met the woman, but it just appears to me from this chart as I'm looking at this. Plus, I'm seeing here we have Pluto and Uranus so in Virgo, and they are basically conjunct here. So I mean, in Virgo, yeah, Pluto and Uranus in Virgo. So both personal transformation and global transformation are in retrograde in Virgo. She's really meant to do something that is, yes, for the masses, but is when you think of women, when you think of Virgo, I think of like, we think of the Virgin Mary, of course, but we also do think of kind of a very maternal, loving, healthy, health conscious, nurturing, can be kind, but then ends up, you push the wrong buttons and, you're gonna get the nasty. When Virgos decide to Virgo, that's a wrap. um their tongue can be very lethal, and it can really make you feel bad. So here you got a bull by the horns, plus you got a lethal tongue. That's some ish. But what I find interesting is both of those planets, those transformational planets, are in retrograde. I think she second guesses herself a lot. I think she thinks in some cases, I believe she believes that what she's doing is right and just and fair. The problem is that deep down inside, she also, there's something in her that's just like, this isn't right. But I don't know any different, because over here we have Saturn in Aries, which to me is a pretty big deal, because that means once she finds a structure, she's going to be so once she has created a set of beliefs, um and what she has shown to the world, as these are her set of beliefs, these are her capabilities, all that kind of great stuff. Once she's shown that to the world, she's not going to back down, because it's got to be what's going to benefit her the most, right? So she's always going to structure things around her to benefit her the most. Some people will say that's narcissistic. I don't necessarily think so. I haven't seen anything that would tell me that she's a narcissist. I'm just saying that it's going to benefit her. And I feel like sometimes inwardly she knows it's to her detriment, or to the detriment of the calling. This trines, which means this is an agreement. All this whole stellium and all this stuff going on in her sun sign and her moon, like all her feelings, all of that, and Taurus is like a brother and sister to this change, but she's hesitant to make drastic change and stand up to the bullies. She's hesitant to do that. And I'm going to tell you too, now we have Neptune in retrograde in Scorpio, and what I find interesting is I've got Chiron in Pisces as well. Neptune rules Pisces as well as Jupiter. Um, and this is in direct opposition to everything over here in her sun. There is an intuitive nature about her, like she knows what's right. She knows. But all of those, there's some things that she just won't. She's holding on to some very deep secrets, or she knows where some of the bodies are hidden, so to speak. She knows people's inner workings. She has a innate way of kind of like finding that out and getting that out of people. But that has hurt her before, where having a heart, and being compassionate has hurt her before, and also utilizing more of her intuitive nature rather than just like only relying on logic. So that's her wound. Also, people like taking her kindness for weakness is like a wound. Like, because Chiron, right, is the wounded healer, so that's your Achilles heel. So she doesn't want anyone taking her kindness for weakness. Her her default south node is to be the exact opposite of who she's showing herself to be right now. That's her default. So the exact opposite of who she is right now is like, yeah, that's just not. She would much rather be like shut down, and she'd actually probably rather be a little nasty, because you see that every once in a while in like this passive aggressive nice nasty tone that she has. She'd much rather be nasty. She'd much rather be snarky sometimes, and let you know, like really honestly let the horns out and let you know you can't mess with me. I know it's like one of those I know what you did last summer kind of situations. Um, but I feel like also that Neptunian, like she has a very deep understanding of the law. She's a very deep understanding of the justice system. She's sharp as a tack. Like she's sharp. She's sharp, right? Brain on point. But I feel like her denial of being like revolutionary in some ways and really standing up to people that she knows deep down inside aren't good people, but they also can help her get where she wants to go. I guess you could say politically or in the judiciary. Um, Last but not least, we've got Jupiter, the great benefic, which is the gift giver, right? In Cancer. And that's trining, that's going to trine Neptune up here in Scorpio. So this is going to temper her desire to kind of like blow up your spot. Also, she really does want to be like this gift giver. She really does want to be this crusader is not the right word. She wants to be a good guy. And I think in her personal life, well loved, well appreciated, just like she's well respected, just known as a giver in her personal life for sure. I feel like she's feels that she's got to keep that under wraps when it comes to everything else, like in the judiciary. I feel like that's like a big issue for her. Okay, so that is like the basic for Judge Whitaker. Okay, that is the basic information, what we've got for her. And next, we are going to look at ADA Love. Here we go. And so her birth date is going to be June 4th, 1970. So she is a Gemini. So we have a Taurian and a Gemini. Now, that in and of itself, sorry, my cat's in my way. That in of itself is interesting. Why do I say that? Let me just give you a little heads up. When you have signs next to each other, right? The Gemini can learn something from the Taurus, but doesn't necessarily want to. Because the astrological wheel goes Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and on. Each is a different developmental stage, let's say, in your humanity, either like on that personal level or then in more of your mind and the intellectual and emotional, spiritual, whatever level that is at the top, starting with Libra, going to Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces being kind of like the grandfathery, like grandmothery, we've learned so much. So the Gemini is meant to learn something from Taurus. Okay. Taurus is meant to learn something from Gemini. They don't want to learn anything from each other. Okay. So you can always learn something from where you've been and where you're going. But they don't want to learn from each other. All right. So let's do this here. What's going on here? So what's kind of cool is I want us to notice one thing first. Both of them, oops, not that. Both of them have Neptune in Scorpio. That is a generational thing. I have Neptune in Scorpio as well. I was born in 1968. That is a generational thing. Interestingly enough, they both were born at times when Neptune was in retrograde. It doesn't stay in retrograde for a whole year. So they're going to view all things Scorpio, contracts, leveraging, get down, leveraging other people's resources, deep dark secrets, kind of get down nasty with stuff, like not really, this ain't nice. Like Neptune rules the underworld and that kind of stuff. So being willing to go into the underbelly and all of that. But sometimes I think that when Neptune's in retrograde, like it allows you a greater sight into that underbelly, but it might not always allow you to have a greater compassion for it, or sometimes you might not like what you see, or you don't understand what you see, and you don't really interact with it like you should. And you don't take the time to really like comprehend it and then digest it. So they both have that. So they have that in common, as do I. All right, let's go with her son. So if, as you notice here, let me bring this, I'll blow this up just a little bit. Her sun and her moon. Now see, remember this range? I said the moon is going to start at midnight here and then all the way to the end of the day on the 4th, since I don't know her birth time. If she was born really early in the day on June 4th, like real early in the morning, it would have been just the end of the new moon. Now, those that are born on a new moon, well, this is what we'll say, that you're destined for many journeys. Your life is about new beginnings. They say that those that are born on a new moon are enthusiastic, but can be too focused on new things, which can make it hard to be productive. They don't have a hard time starting over. However, new moon babies are always they're looking for meaning. They don't accept the status quo, which some would say would be good. But I think in her case, as a prosecutor and as a Gemini, I don't know that that's a good thing. So she's just like Judge Whitaker, her sun and her moon, which means her basic personality, as well as all of her feelings, thoughts, and emotions, are solidly in Gemini. If you might remember, Judge Whitaker's Venus, I think, and we'll look at their synastry chart, was right about here. So it's pretty, it's closer. It's either conjunct her moon or very close to her moon. And if ADA Love was actually born on a new moon, that would mean she's definitely not in touch with her feelings, because a new moon asks you to look at everything very logically, because we have to start over. We need a plan. And this is probably why she gets a plan. She can't move from that. She's going to argue you the TF down because she's a Gemini. My son is a Gemini. One of my dearest friends, one of my best relationships, actually, romantic relationships, was with a Gemini. My oldest granddaughter is a Gemini. I'm sure I can name a few more. They're going to argue you down to the bitter end. They don't like to be, if they feel they're in the right and they feel they need to defend themselves, my God, today, forget about it. Like, they are going to defend themselves down. They will argue just for the sake of arguing. And you'll be sitting here going, why in the world? What does this have to do with anything? And then to them, because they connect everything together, a lot of Geminis are ADD. So, and it's a beautiful mind, and it can think of things and can process so much all at once. But once they really get hyper focused on something, and once they get this like super huge board and they've all of a sudden connected all the dots, Honey, there's no telling them any different. And they're going to argue down until they feel like the argument's over. And let me tell you something, they ain't going to feel that way for a long time. It's going to be a minute. It is. That's my cat. Let me tell you the other thing that's interesting. Now, this is why I feel like they get along, and we'll talk about this as well. Judge Whitaker, and I believe their Mercuries are conjunct. Judge Whitaker's Mercury, remember, it was in, I think it was 17 degrees, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. Taurus. So her Mercury is in Taurus. Love's Mercury is in Taurus as well, which means they communicate. Love will speak, will the underlying meaning of what Love's trying to say will be understood by Judge Whitaker because it's like she's speaking to Judge Whitaker's soul. And then Judge Whitaker is going to be like, okay, yeah, but you didn't say that right because, she's got the sun and the moon there. So let me massage this and make this right. Now, she's also going to structure herself. She's got Saturn in there, which means her structures are, she has decided this is how she's going to try this case, for instance, and they ain't no getting her up off of it. And she could be in it for the long haul. Taurians don't move that fast. They're fixed earth. She's made a decision. It's not going anywhere. So this is the craziest combination I've ever seen. Not only will she have made the decision so it ain't going nowhere, but she gonna argue that decision down no matter what. And she gonna swear up and down that she right. And there's not gonna be any changing her. You can hang it out. It's done. But the interesting thing is her mind, okay, so she's got this structure here, but this makes her like she talks and thinks when she's defending herself, there's an incongruency with how she's thinking. So there seems to be this difficulty in communication. Now she has Chiron in Aries just like I do. So she's had to deal with a lot of self-doubt, a lot of I've got to defend myself, a lot of feeling defensive, that you don't respect me. You don't. This is why this whole respect thing is a big deal for her because her default is that you don't respect me. And she's from a very small, well, I think it's small. It appears small to me, town in Georgia. She don't come from, what I'm saying? She didn't go to Duke Law School. You understand what I'm saying? So she's always felt like she got to fight for everything. Also, she gonna get her feelings hurt pretty easy. You would think with this Mars and Venus in Cancer that she would be able to get along. She probably got along very well with both parents, and that she should technically be able to get along with men and with women. But because of where Mars is in Cancer, I am going to say that she gives off a lot of masculine energy, and so most women, well, it'll depend on the day. I'm sure that she does have a lot of, female friends. I know she's in this in to what I understand, she is a member of the Divine Nine. What I understand, I don't know if it's true or not, that she is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha and Sorority Incorporated. So it's going to depend on the day, but I'm going to tell you that's a strong, like I have to present myself. I almost have to hide my femininity. I have to present myself with a woman's face, woman's body, strong front. So you don't think, so that you respect me and you don't think you can run over me. She's probably very used to like men thinking they can run over her. But she's probably also heard all her life that, man, you kind of a rough woman, kind of a hard woman. You know what I mean? I'm sure she's heard that most of her life. Let's get to her outer planets. Pluto in Virgo. She also this down here. Let me just go right here. This gives me strict yet very loving mother. She's a completely different person when she's at home. Jupiter in Libra in retrograde and Uranus in Libra in retrograde says, I'm not really willing to budge. I'm not really willing to give. I'm not really willing to transform. Like, I don't think that everything needs to be transformed, or should I put it this way, that the global transformation in the justice system that needs to happen, to some people, it may be very misguided. This Mars in such a strong placement also in Cancer is also going to make her a lot less compassionate, as well as Saturn and Venus and Mercury in Taurus being conjunct is going to make her a lot less compassionate, a lot more selfish and self-centered, or self-centered. Let's just put it that way, self-focused. I don't know her to be selfish. Now, this Pluto in Virgo, she's good at reinventing herself, or at least she should be. But I think that the structure down here in Taurus kind of helped, like, she kind of procrastinates from doing it as quickly as she could, as quickly as her mind and her very being here in Gemini would really like to do it. Like, this here would probably love to reinvent herself faster. I think she's resigned herself to the fact that she's going to be viewed as the, evil person in a lot of ways. And so she's told herself she doesn't really care, but I think that she does. I also feel like someone has told her, well, this is how we got to be in order to get where we got to go. And it's probably not going to turn out the way that she wants. So she's going to feel like it's going to be unfair, that something was ripped away from her. She probably feels that the judgeship was ripped away from her. But a lot of that had to do with not being willing to tap into changing the status quo in a major way. And her North Node is in Pisces. That tells me that she is supposed to be striving to be understanding, wise, showing tough love when it's necessary, but showing love, not being manipulative, not any of that, not feeling like she's got to defend herself all the time, not feeling like she's got to be the loudest person, not being mean, feeling like she's got to be the one that's like, nah, 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 nah. Like, this is Taurians. The sign of Taurus is kind of toddlery, and it's I have. It's mine, 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 mine. So you put that mine, 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 mine with a will of I will, the Gemini, I will do this. You are not going to stop me. My willpower is way stronger than yours, and it's about to get nasty. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's happening here. You put those together, boy, it's an unmovable object, right? Meets an immense force. It's not going to work. So unfortunately, she's going to get further, and then she's going to take 2 steps back. She's going to get further, and then she's going to take 3 steps back. And the respect that she seeks is going to be harder for her to come by because of this here. She's not. It's going to take a lot more for her to feel that things are fair in her eyes. So she's going to fight it tooth and nail. All right, now. Last but not least is going to be the Synastry chart. So, and we'll show y'all about the Synastry and why it is that they match up so well. All right, guys. So now we've looked at Judge Whitaker's chart. We've looked at ADA Love's chart. Now what we're going to do is we are going to look at their charts together. And that's what we in astrology called a synastry chart. Okay, a synastry chart. So I'm going to put my banner back up again, because this, again, I want to just remind you that this is for entertainment purposes only. These are my opinions. This is astrology. I'm not disparaging anyone. This is alleged. This is just what I see in my opinion about when I look at their charts and look to see what I see. And I'm a bit of an intuitive astrologer, so I'm going to tell you kind of what I feel too. All right. So now what we're going to do is we looked at them both individually. Now we're going to look at the charts together again in what we call a synastry chart. And here it is now. I want you to know, let me go here, that the blue, right, is ADA Love, and that's kind of, you can see the title up in the corner here. The blue is ADA Love's chart, and the orange is going to be Judge Whitaker's. And so we're going to look at how those planets and their placements that we've talked about, how they may, where they kind of like agree, how they interact with each other to better understand why we're seeing what we're seeing. Again, this is my opinion, okay? And this is for entertainment purposes only. I'm going to start. Remember, Judge Whitaker is here in the orange. Now, you may recall that we said that she's going to have a Taurus moon no matter what. And remember, I said this little guy here, this guy here, this Mercury, right? And this is Judge Whitaker's sun. So her basic personality, who she is on the inside, how she thinks, how she talks, how she speaks, right? That's going to be like her ideas. That's going to be that Mercury, right? And then her feelings and emotions are right here with her moon. I want you to see something here. ADA Love, all of this right here is all in Taurus together. What does this mean? How ADA Love speaks is what we call conjunct or super close to how Judge Whitaker, her basic internal clock works, right? Her id, her basic internal core personality, as well as the structures she creates and the rules that she lives by, and how the rules manifest themselves and how she thinks also is conjunct to how Judge Whitaker thinks as well and speaks. So if it seems like there's a lot of agreement, this is why. Where they clash is because each of them has this core belief system or this core structure, right? And they are both immovable objects sometimes. So where we saw at first, this is really going to be, this was, when I saw this is very important to me. Because then when I saw this, I understood, I was like, oh, this is why she's helping her so much. Or it appears to us she's helping her. That's my opinion. Because, I mean, anybody that's kind of looking at this and watching this trial as it's unfolded since Judge Whitaker has taken over will look at this and be like, why? What the heck? What's going on? Right? Why is this woman seem like, it's like, we feel like she's like the teacher giving her the notes during the test and telling her like Love is the student saying, oh, but I thought I could do blah, 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 blah. And she's from the bench like, yeah, but no, you need to really do it, da, 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 da. So each of them, this is kind of what I find interesting because we know that Whitaker was a practicing lawyer. She worked for the district attorney's office as well. So from a prosecutorial mindset, she's looking at this case and probably just naturally thinking, and she was on the appellate court. So she's naturally thinking from a prosecutor's standpoint, this is how I would try the case so that the appellate judge wouldn't overturn a conviction on appeal. My perception. So she's like, having had the experience of sitting on the appellate court, and also having had the experience of trying cases, she's looking at this like, lady, no, you need to do blah, 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 blah. Right? That's how you need to do it. And Love is like, nah, I didn't create this whole structure on my own already. Like, that's cool and all in the game. I get what you're saying. But what we're beginning to see now is where, because it doesn't appear that Love is taking in what Whitaker is trying to tell her. And not only that, both of them have this kind of, I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to maybe to look bad. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want that either. Both of them are just, they have that, there's a defensive position. Now they're like, listen, she's like, I've been trying to tell you. The judge is like, I've been trying to tell you. Love's just like, well, you ain't getting it. That's why I'm doing it this way. Now we're beginning to see the clash. What I find interesting is that Whitaker does appear to me to get worn down by Love's sun and moon, by her basic need to argue. That air, that is a lot of air. To be a double Gemini up against a double Taurus, the Gemini is going to blow so much air out and is going to erode that earth, wear that earth down, wear it 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 down, until finally somebody's going to give. The structure that the judge wishes to create is conjunct Love's Achilles heel. So the basic structure that she has created, she by inspiration, I have Saturn in Aries as well. Saturn in Aries, I'm going to come to a conclusion. I'm going to come to that conclusion quickly. It's going to take me it's going to take a lot to move me off of that, but I'm going to try to make it like, I really try to create structures that are very inspirational, right? That's why I do what I do, like as a business mentor and a coach's coach and things like that, like trying to teach other people how to create businesses that are going to impact the world and be fulfilling to them. Like that's just like a natural thing. It's like, oh, this is awesome. This is inspirational. Let's do it this way. And then I'm like, let's go. You know, it's almost like throwing up a manufactured home. You know how you get modular homes? You all know what I'm talking about, where, you know, you go buy your land and then you pick out this modular home and it comes and it gets delivered, you know, in pieces, and then it all gets put together, like, right? Those homes can go up like just like that. That's kind of Saturn and Aries. We build quick. The thing is that the ideas that we have built, that she builds here in Taurus, right, are not really necessarily exactly what Love wants to build over here. It doesn't really jive with her basic thought process and her emotions. And she's always needing Chiron and Aries to defend her position. I have Chiron and Aries as well. It makes perfect sense. Like for so many years, I always felt like I had to defend everything. So if I was, shall we say, if I had come up with an idea or I had put forth an idea and I was questioned on why I did it or how, or I felt like I was being questioned, quick to have to feel like I had to defend myself and quick to get hurt. Like I wouldn't tell you that I got hurt. I ain't gonna let you know I got hurt, but I'm quick to be like, what do you mean? La, 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 la. You know, and feel disrespected. Respect is a big thing. That's an Achilles heel. So the structures that the judge is wanting to institute are going against, or it feels to Love like they're going against the very core. I want to do things my way. I've already figured it out over here. You just not listening to the grand master plan. So I'm gonna argue it down. But here is the judge with Venus in Gemini. So she's like, I feel like at the beginning, she bought into it. She bought into the dream. Like, I feel like at the very beginning of all this, when they didn't really know each other. They're just starting to do the dance. She bought into this dream. She was like, oh, this is awesome. And oh, you know what I'm saying? Like she was willing to give her a crap ton of leeway, because this kind of argument and this kind of thing, like this kind of standing your ground, especially as another, female lawyer or whatnot, this kind of energy is just like, yeah. I love a strong woman, right? She had to have been misunderstood. These men got to be picking on. And I'm not saying that's how it is. I'm just saying this is what, could be potentially going through her mind. Now, the issue though is that the judge's Venus is like also conjunct Love's Mars, but they're in different signs. So Love's Mars is like, I'm gonna fight hard for what I believe in, and I gotta come up hard. And the Venus is like, dude, I'm trying to give you, like, girlfriend, I'm giving you some leeway, but you know how, as a mother, as a woman, period, like we'll go so far, and then after that, it's a wrap. We're exploding. It's an explosion. And so that's what we're beginning to see now. It's oil and water. Now, Love's Venus is sextiling, so it's kind of like a cousin to the sun over here, her sun, and her Mercury. Not so much the moon. The moon's a little bit, but do everything in this sign. So she wants to be understood, and she wants to be seen as a, in a good light to the judge. But this over here is just what's causing this mess here, is causing a bunch of monkey mess. But then we get into the judge's Jupiter, so her gift giving desire is probably parlaying a lot more. It's showing itself like in her giving a lot of leeway. This is another big leeway. This is another big, like, okay, we're gonna, I want to create this structure. I want this to be on time. I want us to move forward quickly. But I feel like I need to nurture you and help bring out your gifts as well. But we're starting again. I'm going to resort back to this sun in Taurus, back to this moon in Taurus, and back to this Saturn in Aries. There's only so far that this is going to go before you're going to get the explosion, which we have already seen. Now, what else is kind of happening here with the outer planets? This unsurety of change, both globally and personally, this kind of like, I'm going to bring this back a little bit. Those are both in retrograde. So people probably, and they're conjunct. So again, there's probably, this kind of feeling of, I want to do big things, but I'm constrained. I want to change this aspect, but I'm constrained. She may have some emotions, some feelings, some ideas and ideologies that she really doesn't feel like she can bring out into the public, because the public reception, she might feel is going to be, this is the judge, negative, like it's not going to help her. It could harm her or hinder her in reaching her aspirational goals. So it's going to be this kind of undercurrent here. Whereas Love, her Pluto is out front, and it's also in Virgo. So her personal, like, I'm right, this has got to be this way, my way or the highway, kind of like, that scorpionic energy. That's where we kind of see, like, in addition to the Gemini here, it's a lot of over talking. That's a lot of again, wearing down. That's it, that's causing a problem, and it's going to cause a greater problem very, very soon. What else do I see just off the top here? I do see where the judge's Mars in Libra is also trining or kind of agreeing with Love's Sun and Moon in Gemini. That can be a little bit, I feel, It could be a little dangerous for the defense because initially I think she may have been willing to. I think overall she's going to cut her some slack. A lot. Again, this is a lot more slack, right? But I can also see the tempers flaring because at her core, she really does want justice, the judge, justice for the disenfranchised. But over time, that desire for justice for the disenfranchised or for those that don't have a voice seems to have jaded. And that Mars can be like, that Mars in retrograde can be this kind of passive aggressive, jaded energy. The scales truly aren't balanced, and that's really what she wants, but she hasn't been able to figure out how. And then she hears this. I can tell you just because now I'm like, as I see their charts and I'm looking at this, I'm like, I bet you as she's finding out more about, especially how this Quindarius Zachary situation all played out with the sickle cell anemia and all this stuff, there's a lot of thoughts going through her head right now. There's a lot of like, is this like, am I being bamboozled or, there's a desire for serious justice, but then there's also kind of like a restraint of how much we're going to get involved. But I can tell you there's this smoldering underneath that's just brewing and brewing and brewing. And that Gemini sun and moon not being willing to give in, not being willing to be wrong, I got to be right at all costs, that's going to cause some problems. There is going to be trouble in paradise. Now, something I didn't see before, which I do now, and this again, this is just a me. I'm very concerned about this Jupiter. Now I'm very concerned about the Jupiter of love and Jupiter and Uranus in retrograde of loves, and it's in Libra, both of them, and then we also have the Judge's Mars in retrograde in Libra. Why am I concerned about that? Because it's almost like, so Jupiter's the great giver, right? So it's the great benefic. We call it the beneficial planet. That looks like somebody that's wanting to take the gifts away. Uranus in retrograde, this is in direct opposition to her, to the Judge's Saturn in Aries. So the basic structures that the judge wants to set up for everything to run smoothly, she's going to say, no, 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 no. I don't want this to benefit the greater good. It needs to benefit my good and what I deem as good. What I think is right for the greater good, I'm not going to change. And this says to me, this is somebody that wants to take away freedom. I'm not saying that that's her overall. Again, I'm not disparaging. I'm saying that this is somebody that wants to control and constrain. I'll put it like that. Control and constrain. And that is squaring her Venus. So it's squaring off against her innate desire to be good and close and fair. But it also by sign is squaring the Judge's Jupiter and her great desire kind of to be a little bit more of a giver and a caretaker than necessarily a constrainer. So that can end up that could be a problem as well. But so we see how, the mouth is going to wear things down. The question is the Judge's Earth and Taurus and gonna help? And are the bull is she gonna grab by the bull by the horns? And or is love gonna get the horns more, or is she gonna be kind of free and clear? So that's what we see for that. Thanks so much for hanging out. I know this was a long few videos, so I appreciate you hanging out. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.